caregivers, you do not have to take on someone that is beating you, someone that is aggressive, someone that is disrespectful, someone that damages everything within their path. You do not have to be in a work environment like that.
Welcome to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. Tune in every Tuesday, and don't forget to subscribe. And now your host, Nicolas Comstock.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this Tuesday on the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community, and we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for everything else in between. I am your host, Nick Comstock. You guys, I'm so glad you joined me on this Tuesday. Thank you for joining me from wherever you are, whether you are starting your morning with me or or ending your day with me, or you're somewhere in the middle. Thank you for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Before we get into today's episode, I want to say thank you to everyone who participated in last week's 100th episode. I want to give a big shout out to my producer, Kyle. I told you not to fuck it up. You did not. You truly delivered. I want to thank my good friend, Daniel Rivera, who is also known as my Puerto Rican daddy. I want to thank him for surprising and coming on the show. And I want to thank the other people who took time to send videos. Connie Davis, former guest, Dwayne Morton. Thank you guys for sending videos, and congratulations. It means the world to me. I really appreciate it. We are now in triple digits. 101. I can't believe it. Today is episode 101. Usually I don't say the episode number, but you guys know that last week was episode 100. So today is episode 101. And here we are. We are back again. And today we're going to talk a lot about caregivers. I'm going to share my heart with you about caregivers, about the caregiver situation in this country, and I'm gonna just share my heart and how I feel the caregiver situation is going in this country, but I feel needs to change. So please stay tuned for that. Speaking of caregivers, I always like to tell you guys if I did something exciting this weekend, and I did. Yours truly went with my primary caregiver, Darius, to a new restaurant this weekend. And I always love telling you guys what I'm eating, what's exciting about it, and all that stuff. So on TikTok, a couple of days ago, I saw this food reviewer do a review on a Chinese restaurant here in Hilliard. It's a suburb of Columbus, Ohio, and it's called Golden Chopsticks. It's a Chinese restaurant. And immediately when I saw it, I knew I wanted to go because Mexican food, burgers, those two are my favorite foods. Right behind that is Chinese food. So that's my third favorite. And I love some good lo mein, some good well, on the day that I went on Saturday, I had bourbon chicken lo mein, and they have these donuts at Golden Chopsticks. All they are rolled in is sugar, and they are fried to perfection, and they are fantastic. Let me tell you, if you guys take a trip over to Golden Chopsticks, you will not leave hungry. If you leave hungry, it's your own fault. I mean, they really pile it on. They make your food fresh to order. My lunch was $24 and some change, and they give you a lot of food. It was really, really good. If you go on Monday through Friday, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., you can get two entrees for $20. I thought you could do that 7 days a week, but you can only do it on Monday through Friday. So if you're a big Chinese food and you're in or around the Hilliard area here in Columbus, check out Golden Chopsticks. This is not a sponsored ad for them, but they are fantastic. And I went in, this is a word to all of you business owners. I went in and I said, I saw you guys on TikTok. And they said, oh my God, after that TikTok, everything blew up. Our business blew up. We couldn't keep high with the demand because of that one TikTok video. So if your business is not on social media, if your business is not sponsoring a podcast, hello, you need to sponsor a podcast. And might I recommend the Nick Speaks podcast? Or, sponsor, do have a TikToker like me as well, do a sponsored video. Because I'm telling you, social media is the way to make your business explode, and you need to do it. And Golden Chopsticks found out that social media is pretty powerful. Yeah, so if you're ever in the Hilliard or surrounding areas, I know they have one. I was just told that they have one on the west side, right by Hollywood Casino. So if you're in Hilliard or if you're on the west side of Columbus, check out Golden Chopsticks. If you love Chinese food, you will not be disappointed. My favorite part of the whole meal was the donuts. They come in a pack of 10, and I ate just about all 10 of them before my actual main meal. So you're going to want to check them out. And I love doing stuff like that with my caregiver. And so I'm glad he was willing to take me and willing to go. I said I wanted to share my heart with you about the caregiver community and what caregivers go through and all that type of stuff. And some of this today is going to go off of my TikTok videos that I've posted recently. If you're not following me on TikTok, follow me at Nicolas Comstock. And Kyle, I'll make sure that you put my TikTok on the bottom of the screen. It's at Nicolas Comstock. If you're not following me there, follow me. I'm almost at 78,000 followers. So if you're not following me on TikTok, go follow me. But anyway, most of today's podcast is going to come straight from my TikTok videos that I've done recently. And I really want to talk to you all about this. There's been all this talk for years about caregivers don't get paid enough. Caregivers don't make enough money. We clean up shit. We're doctors to our sick patients when they can't get into the regular doctor. We are counselors. We are all these things, and we don't get paid enough. I will agree with you. You don't get paid enough. Even here in Ohio, I think the standard rate now is, I believe, 18 to $25 an hour if you're an agency. And then if you're an independent provider, you get paid more as an independent provider. But I believe the standard rate for agencies here in Ohio, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, are between 18 to $25. Now, if you're out here in the state of Ohio saying, well, my agency doesn't pay me that, well, you got to look at the Medicaid reimbursement rates. And, Governor DeWine did raise the pay rate for caregivers in the state of Ohio. And he's done that, I believe, since 2016 or 2015. And so if your agency is not paying you what you're worth, listen, there are a dime a dozen. Every agency that I know of is looking for home health care aides. So if you're not getting paid, and you're in the state of Ohio, if you're not getting paid the rate that you feel you need to be paid, especially with your experience, go to your agency and say, pay me this rate. And if they can't do it, go somewhere else. I want to talk to you about this because caregivers, as I said just a minute ago, they are all around saying, we don't get paid enough. We do all this stuff and we don't get paid. Well, I'm going to be very generous with this number, but it's probably a lot higher. Caregivers, the reason you're not getting paid today, what you should, and the reason you don't get paid enough is because you don't show up to work half the time. No. Is the caregiver's pay what it should be? No. But you might actually make some money if you actually show up to work more than 4 days out of 5 or 3 days out of 7. Because I guarantee you 70% of today's caregivers, especially if they've only been in this field probably about a year or two, or I'll say 1 to 5 years. The caregivers that have been in this field for 1 to 5 years, 70% of them are lazy and they don't want to do their job. And the ones that have been in it for 25 years or more, you know what? They're burnt out and they feel like they aren't getting paid what they're due. And they're not. But you know why they continue to do it? Because they love the people that they are serving. They love the people that they are assisting to live a better life. I guarantee you 70% of caregivers don't love their job. And it's not because of the pay, it's because of what they have to do. They don't have the heart to do this job. I've said this many times on my TikTok as well as my podcast. This is not, being a caregiver is not just a job. It is a calling. And if you're not called to do this, for the love of God, I'm begging you, get out of this field. Get out of this field if you don't have a call to serve someone who can't serve you back in the way that you deserve to be served and helped and loved. This week on my TikTok, I got a comment from a lady who said, I have a brain tumor and I go to work every day and I get the shit kicked out of me and my agency doesn't do anything about it. Listen, if you are getting physically abused by your client, first of all, let me say, I am so sorry. Second of all, let me say that should not take place. And this lady says, the agency just lets it happen. And if you're an agency that knowingly lets physical and emotional abuse happen to your staff, then don't bitch to me about how you don't have any staff, because people can only take so much. Well, I'm concerned about the parents. They're threatening to sue me and blah, 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 blah. You should sue them, to be honest, because they're putting your staff's life at risk. Now, whether it's the client's fault and they know directly what they're doing, or whether it's not their fault and they don't know directly what they're doing, your staff, caregiving management, should not have to go to work in fear, should not have to go to work and wonder if they're going to get the shit kicked out of them, should not have to go to work and wonder if their credit card is going to get stolen by their client, should not have to go to work and wonder if their client is going to falsely accuse them of doing inappropriate things. And if that is constantly happening in your agency, home health care management, and you're doing nothing and you're just turning a blind eye, your agency needs to be shut down immediately. And you need to get out of this business. And if you're a caregiver who's constantly being abused by your client and their families, you need to take whatever legal action is necessary. And you need to tell your client and these families, I'm not putting up with this from you. You need to stand up for yourself and realize that all clients and all families are not like that. Remember, just like the client has a choice of who to go with, you have a choice of who you're going to take care of. Caregivers, you really do. I have caregivers that come in here every few months. We have to do a staff change because caregiving is a revolving door. And they'll come in here, they'll see everything that needs to be done for me, and they'll be like, I don't want to do it because I don't want to do personal care. And that's just what we have to deal with. So remember, caregivers, you do not have to take on someone that is beating you, someone that is aggressive, someone that is disrespectful, someone that damages everything within their path. You do not have to be in a work environment like that, especially if it's in a client, if they're in community housing. But to the 70% of today's caregivers who don't show up to jobs when they sign up for them because you don't want to wipe a butt or you don't want a client to spit at you or be disrespectful or what, you know what? Grow up. And if you can't handle this field because a client is cussing you out, or if you can't handle this field because of a major bowel movement, then this field is not for you. But then don't sign up for a job where you know the pay is not as great as it should be or could be, and then say, I'm not coming into work because all the work that I do, they don't pay me enough. You knew that before you signed up for this job, and yet you said yes. So if you say yes to not so great pay and sometimes not so delightful work environments, stick to your word. Be a man or woman of your word and say, until I can find something better, I'm going to give this job 110%. Because that's the problem. I have it too. We have staff that start here and then they call off every other shift. And then they want to call my primary caregiver when I already have staff on schedule and be like, hey, send me to work at Nick's today. I need some money. Well, you should have thought about that before you called off because you had a birthday party or your stomach was hurting or you just didn't feel like coming in today. You needed a mental health break. There's no desire to work anymore. It's just not in the care field. This is the field I deal in. What's going to happen when the caregivers that have been doing this job for 20, 30, 40, some 50 years. What's going to happen when the caregivers that are still doing this job after all that time, what's going to happen when they need care? Is there going to be anybody to take care of them? Is there going to be anybody to wipe their butt? Is there going to be anybody to take care of their peri area? No, because you're going to have a bunch of pansies who say, ew, I don't want to wipe a butt. I don't want to change a brief. Dear God, I hope nobody says the same thing when you need help, because unless you're killed instantly, you one day, to the 70% of caregivers who don't show up to work, you one day will probably need somebody to wipe your butt. And you know what? It probably won't be your family, because there are a lot of family members in today's society that are selfish. So you're going to be shoved in a nursing home or a group home somewhere, and you're going to end up with subpar care because nobody is willing to get their hands dirty. Nobody is willing to they say they want a paycheck, but nobody is willing to be thankful for the paycheck they get. And like I say, I know that the pay is not what it should be for caregivers. There are still many caregivers in this country who make $9 or $10 an hour. It's not all here in Ohio where they make 18 to 25. And if you're here in Ohio and you're a part of the developmental disability system, and you're not taking advantage of the extra trainings that you can get or the extra money that you can get because of how long you've been in the field, you need to get in contact with the Department of Developmental Disabilities and say, how can I do the training to get the extra dollar or two? You say, well, it's only $1 or $2. Is it ever going to be enough for you? Is it ever going to be enough? Why did you start this job in the first place? Well, I wanted some money. Well, yeah, but the money you have isn't great enough according to you. So even if you are just doing the job for a paycheck, well, the paycheck isn't enough. So then you continue to stay home and let the government take care of you. And then you complain that that's not enough. You know what? Honestly, if you're not happy with caregiving, do what all the rest of them do. Do what a lot of them do. Go become an RN. Go become a nurse. I've got a caregiver on my team right now that he's going to start school in September to be a nurse. He's also in the military. So if you really feel that this field is not making you enough money, and money is what you're after, and you're not after changing somebody's life because you have to change their brief, and God forbid it stinks, then go get you a job where you can be at it from 9 to 5 and not have to worry about it until the next day. You know, it also marvels at me that, caregivers say, we don't make enough money, but then you don't show up to half your shifts. So the money that you say isn't enough, you don't even get to make because you're not even there. And stop blaming fast food workers for making more money than you do, because you know what? They're still complaining that they don't make enough. Those are the people who work at McDonald's and Burger King make enough money, make more money than we do. Yeah, and you know what? They can't even get an order right. They probably don't show up to work either, because we have a set of parents that have taken on this gentle parenting role and don't want to push their kids to the max. And I don't mean to the max and where they just kill over. I mean to their full potential. And so my caregiver and I talk about it all the time. We are really concerned what's going to happen to the caregiver field within the next 20 to 30 years once all the old timers die off and and there's nobody to take care of the Gen Zers or the Gen Xers or the millennials because all of the other ones have gone away and the ones that thought they wanted to do this job because it was going to be an easy paycheck don't want to do it because, ew, I have to change a brief. You mean I have to pass medications? You mean somebody's going to be mean to me and not pat my back and say, attaboy, attagirl? You mean somebody's going to throw their food at me after I prepared it for them? Yep. I didn't sign up for that. Well, Cupcake, caregiving's a mixed bag. I think I might sneeze in a minute. So if I sneeze in a minute, I'm sorry. Caregiving's a mixed bag and it's not for everyone. But I just want you to know, caregivers, you're not the only field who feels that they're not getting paid enough. And if you're not getting paid enough, instead of venting about it to your clients, go somewhere else. Well, I love my job. Well, then shut up about the pay. And if you really don't like your pay, speak up, speak out, and speak loud. Speak to your local representatives. Call Medicaid. Speak to your bosses. Well, they're not going to listen to us anyway. Well, then if you have that attitude, you're never going to get the pay you deserve. I'm tired of caregivers who bitch about not getting paid and then they sit here and say, well, they're not going to listen to us anyway, so why say anything? Great. So shut up about the pay and do your job. Give your client the life that they deserve because that's the job that you signed up for, even though you say it's not enough pay and we all know it's not. But if you're not going to take the steps to advocate for yourself, even if they don't listen to you the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time, then I don't want to hear you bitch about how low your pay is and how disrespected you are as a caregiver. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care. Because when you stop caring about your well being and about your pay, and all you want to do is bitch about it, but you won't march on the state capitol, you won't make a meeting with your representatives. And even if you do, you're like, well, I've already had 4 meetings with them and they don't listen. Do you know this past week, 2 no's that I've had for the last 5 years, count them, 5 years, just got turned into a yes this past week. I was told for 5 years that I could not have a smart thermostat in my house because it would be considered a duplication of services. And because I have a staff 24/7, they should be the ones adjusting my thermostat. Yeah, well, they're the reasons why I feel like I live in hell all the time because they're all from Africa and they don't understand uh, heating and cooling. You know, they've been in the hot sun for so many years, and then you come here and you put the air on at 65, and they're like, oh. So I finally got the smart thermostat put in. Another no that was turned into a yes after 5 years. I finally got a bedroom door opener. I had a door opener for my apartment door and the door is leading to my apartment. I've had that door opener since I moved in. When I moved into my apartment about 5 years ago, I said, man, this door in my bedroom is awful heavy and it's hard for me to open. Can we get a door opener in here? They told me no for 5 years for the same reason for the smart thermostat. And the other reason being they didn't think my landlord would want to make those adjustments. Well, I was finally able to meet with my landlord a couple months ago. Not that I was trying to meet with her 5 years. For 5 years, my landlord and I were on a housing project together, and we got to know each other. And I told you guys last week, if you tuned in to the Nick Speaks podcast, that hopefully I'll be starting a job with my housing authority here soon. The final touches are being put on it right now, but I was able to have a meeting with my landlord and say, okay, this is what I'm being told from the county, and they're saying that you as my landlord, I almost said the housing name, you as my landlord don't really want to make these adjustments, or you can't make these adjustments. And they said, that's not true. Let me look into it. So they looked into it, and I got a $6,000 bedroom door opener that was paid for out of funds that the county had. So if you're a taxpayer who lives in Ohio or who lives in the county I live, I'm not going to say the county where I live, but those of you who listen on a regular basis, you tell me that you listen, so you live in the same county I do. Thank you for your tax dollars, because I was finally able to get a smart thermostat, and I was finally able to get a bedroom door opener. And going back even further, I waited over a year for my most smart 150 portable patient lift, and I got that, and I will be using it later this week for the first time at an appointment that I have to go to. So, for those of you caregivers that say no one listens to us, they don't care about our pay, you have to knock until you get the answer that you want. And even if you knock and they open the door and they say no, go back and ask again. It's like prayer. You don't just pray once and say, well, God didn't give it to me, so he must not want me to have it. No, God may want you to pursue him. God may want you to desire him before he gives you the desires of your heart. In fact, I know that's true because in Psalm 37, verse 4, it says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of your heart. But for those of you who aren't quote unquote religious, I don't really believe in religion. I have a relationship with God. To hell with religion. Every one of them: Baptist, Pentecostal, Catholic, Nazarene, every one of them. To hell with religion. I have a relationship with my creator, and I don't need to go to church to have one either. That was for free. But you have to keep persisting. You have to say, you have to stop saying they won't listen to me, so I'm going to give up. You are the hands and feet of your client, caregivers. If they don't have you, if they don't have dedicated people, then we can't have the life that we deserve to have. And I want to say this: we need younger people to come in this field. Because you know what? I don't want to be around town with a 50-year-old all the time. I don't want to be around town with a 60-year-old all the time. I want someone in my age group, age 25 to 45. I want someone that's not going to come sit on their phone all day and just stare at me and do the bare minimum. I want to be able to go around town. I want to be able to have fun. I want you to come with me to my speaking engagements, see me influence other caregivers. One of the biggest compliments that my caregivers get when we're out in the community is thank you so much for taking your client out. Why is that so fascinating? You know why? Because even to the folks who live in the community, they might have gotten away from their parents, but they live in the community and all they did was have a change of scenery from their bedroom at home to a bedroom in the community. And the reason being is because they don't have dedicated young caregivers who want to play video games with them or help them go further in their career that they might have, or just take them out and have fun. The number one compliment that my caregivers get is thank you for taking your client out. That's so amazing to see you guys engage. But because you're concerned about how much money you make or how much money you don't make, you're not concerned about making sure that your client is engaged and loved and cared for and that their dreams are accomplished. I'm really talking to the caregivers that have just been in the field from 1 to 5 years, or maybe 1 to 10, and you're about ready to burn out. And I'm not saying you don't have to worry about taking care of your family. You don't need to worry about. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, if you don't think the pay's enough, then go somewhere else or talk to your agency and see if there's something else you can do with the agency while still caring for your clients and still getting some decent pay. I don't know, but this whole thing of we gotta complain to our clients all the time and just complain on the phone to our friends that we're not supposed to be talking to when we're taking care of our clients, that the pay isn't enough. But then you want to do things like take off your birthday. What? And you wonder why you're broke because you want to take off your birthday. You want to take off a federal holiday that you don't have off already. Yeah. Yeah. Like, I could understand that if you showed up 7 days a week and you're supposed to be there and you're there, unless you're throwing up, you're there, and so you want to take off your birthday because that's the only day that you really get to yourself. But if you take off 3 days out of 5 or 4 days out of 7, and then you come to me and you say, "Oh, well, I need my birthday off, or I need a mental health break." I don't want to hear you, because then you're going to come to me and tell me, or you're going to criticize the home healthcare community around the uh around your friends and say, "Well, they don't pay enough money. I'm over here cleaning shit and I don't get anything." Like I said, I'm not I am not advocating for caregiver abuse. I've already addressed that in this episode. If you're a caregiver and you are constantly being physically abused by aggressive clients, you need to document everything, because if you don't document it, it doesn't exist. And if your agency willingly, if they know about it and they are not doing anything about it, then you need to report them and as well leave the agency, because you know what? You can't take care of your family or your clients if you're not around to do so, because you were abused or maybe almost unalived because of one of your aggressive clients. So if you have an aggressive client or aggressive clients, then you need to take the proper steps to say, well, I am not in a healthy work environment and I can't continue to work in this environment. Put me somewhere else or I'll find another job in the field. Or if I don't have another job that's available to me in this field for my safety, I have to go to a complete another job. You are well within your right to do that. And if you're not getting paid enough at one agency and you know another agency that'll pay you more, then go to that agency. It's that simple. It is that simple. But please don't make your clients and their families feel like a burden because you're bitching to them about how much you don't get paid, but you're here because you love the job. Well, then if you love the job, don't complain about it in front of your clients or their families. And don't complain about the pay in front of your clients or their families. You know, because of what I do as an advocate, my caregivers talk about, you know, they don't do this job for the money and it's really hard for them. And I appreciate it. I love my caregivers. So I want them to come to me and say that type of stuff. But, clients who are already struggling with maybe mental disabilities or maybe physical disabilities on top of mental disabilities, they don't need to hear all that mess. They're already trying to figure out how to make it off of barely $1,000 a month if they receive Social Security. And they're trying to figure out how to make it off of food stamps when they receive barely enough from that. I know I receive barely any food stamps. I receive $62 a month. And I can barely buy anything with it. Doesn't even may pay for one meal, maybe two. But so yeah, you know what? If you're not happy in your job, caregiver, no one is holding you at gunpoint and saying you have to stay here. Especially if you're being physically and mentally abused by the clients that you're there to help and love and give them the life that they deserve. But if you're so busy trying to dodge getting the shit kicked out of you that you can't give them the life that they deserve, then it's time to move on. And it's okay. It's okay. And it's okay to go to your agency and say, I'm going to leave because I found another agency that's going to pay me more. If you're not, it's okay to say that. And those of you, if you're in Ohio listening and you're not getting paid what you deserve or you're not getting paid based off your experience, contact the developmental disability department and figure out what trainings you need to go through or what tests you need to go through to get that extra dollar or two based off of your experience. Because believe it or not, I'm sure an extra dollar or two would help somebody in this world. Anyway, I just wanted to share my heart with caregivers today. It's been on my heart a lot. And so I hope that this podcast is somewhat of a help to you. And if you're mad at me, sorry, not sorry. I believe that uh, it needed to be said. And I will say this before I go. Those of you who continue to complain about McDonald's and Burger King making more money, and you're a caregiver and you want to talk about how shameful it is, It's funny because the same caregivers who do that are the same ones who take the drive of shame almost every day to go to McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, whatever fast food restaurant you want to pick. But everybody picks on the McDonald's employees because it's the biggest fast food restaurant chain in the world, I believe. So, yeah. You can change your situation for the better, caregivers. All you have to do is take action. And there is money to be made in the care field. A lot of it may not be in home health care. But to make any money in the home health care field, you have to show up. So to the 70% that like to call off half the time, stop bitching about your pay and get to work. Anyway, this is the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated, the podcast where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most, and we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about everything else in between. I'm your host, Nick Comstock. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a new episode. You can find Nick across all platforms by visiting his Linktree in the show notes. And please leave a comment to join the conversation. Until next time, keep speaking up, keep speaking out, and keep speaking loud.